Hey, it's Mark Linear with your video thought for the day as we continue to go through biblical books 4 or 5 minutes at a time. Today is the book of Hosea. It's the first of the minor prophets that we're talking about. By the way, I have my book, Minor Prophets for Living, Daily Prayers, Wisdom, and Guidance from the Minor Prophets, published by Baylor. You can get it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. If you want more depth on this book, I'd urge you to get that and read it. But in the meantime, if I were to give Hosea a title, I would say, Hosea, a love story like no other. Here is the unusual start behind a Hosea. Can you imagine what it would be like to marry someone that you know ahead of time is going to be unfaithful to you? And not just once, but repeatedly. This shocking scenario is the metaphor that God uses with the prophet Hosea. It's a metaphor for God's relationship with his people, with Israel. So I'd like to explore this book for you. We'll talk about it with a summary, give you a memory verse, and a practical application. A summary. The book of Hosea kind of divides into two main sections. You've got Hosea's marriage in the first 3 chapters, and this is where God instructs Hosea to marry Gomer, a woman who's going to be unfaithful. And their tumultuous relationship becomes a living parable of God's relationship with Israel. And so from chapter 4 through the rest of the book, 14 chapters I think, Hosea delivers a series of prophecies and trials, alternating between judgment for Israel's unfaithfulness and promises of God's enduring love and future restoration. And so throughout both of these sections, we see this recurrent set of themes, sin and judgment, along with God's unwavering love, forgiveness, and desire for reconciliation with his people. Now, number 2, let me give you a memorable verse. This is a touching verse. It comes from Hosea chapter 11, verses 8 and 9. Ephraim is one of the terms used for Israel. And so when you hear Ephraim in this, think Israel or think people of God. God says, how can I give you up, Ephraim? How can I hand you over, Israel? My heart is changed within me. My compassion is aroused. I won't carry out my fierce anger. I won't devastate you again. For I am God and not a man. I'm the Holy One among you. I will not come against their cities. And this verse I love because it captures that struggle between justice and mercy. And it does it in a way that ultimately showcases God's profound love for his people, even despite their unfaithfulness. So let me give you some practical application. How do we embrace God's relentless love? Well, first, let's recognize the depth of his love. Just as Hosea continued to love Gomer despite her infidelity, God's love for us is unconditional and enduring. Number 2, though, understand the consequences of sin, the seriousness of sin. Hosea doesn't shy away from describing the consequences of Israel's infidelity, their unfaithfulness. We're called to take our relationship with God seriously. And that's why the third thing I'd tell you practically is to embrace the opportunity to reconcile. God always leaves the door open for his people to return. We can always, shuv is the Hebrew word, turn back to him no matter how far we've strayed. So we can apply these principles by meditating on God's love, especially when we feel unworthy. Let's examine our lives for areas where we might be unfaithful to God, and then practice repentance and accepting God's forgiveness when we fall short. Let's also extend grace to others and second chances to others, mirroring God's love for us. Hosea is a great book. It's a book of God's unrelenting love for his people. And it's why I've made it your video thought for today.